All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome after a little break from streaming, I guess, for the past week. Love the game. Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear that. So, I've been working on the game despite not streaming. So, let me do a quick tour of what I've managed to do. So firstly, I made it so that settings can now be saved. So as you can see, as I change these values, we get a little info here about the settings being saved. And if I set all of this to 0, for example, and then restart the game, it's gonna have the same values, right? So the implementation is really simple. It's just a little system that debounces the change detection. And then after the debounce time, which is like 300 milliseconds, it spawns a new thread for saving the settings right here. And then it logs the little message. Really straightforward, nothing too complex. Another thing that I've been working on are the input prompts. You can see them here in the background. They are no longer pixel art, they are rendered using Velo, and they are not ready yet, but some of them are already working. So as you can see here, I'm using my joystick, and the prompt kind of replicates what I'm doing right now. And then we also have like button prompts for jumping and for using the anchor, and it's actually the same style as in the settings, right? So it's exactly the same. They are not ready for the keyboard, at least not yet. So they're just E for most things. And we're gonna figure this out later. And then finally, I did a lot of refactoring when it comes to Blender and the way we extract the components from Blender to Bevy, because I'm gonna be working on the video talking about it, and so I wanted to finish it for the most part. But I'm not gonna go into the detail of it on a live stream because again, that's gonna be in the video. So today I wanted to focus on this puzzle section in here because these are the things that I need for the next playtest. We will need a save system, which is a realization, excuse me, that I had a few days ago, but that's not. I'm probably not gonna implement it on the stream. Today I wanted to take care of these two. So some limitations for the teleportation mechanic, because right now it can be abused a lot to the point where you can just fly. Right, so I can, basically teleport myself while in the air and just use that to fly wherever. Maybe let me show you this here because it's gonna look better. If I could do that. Hold on, it takes some practice. Yeah, so the reason for that is that I'm able to set up the teleportation and then use it immediately without ever touching the ground. And that's how we're gonna fix it. We're just gonna restrict this to something once per ground level. Hi chat, hello, hi everybody, welcome to the stream. So this is what we're gonna implement, and then also better doors. So in this playtest, I managed to get away with using a platform that just moves up and down as the door. But we don't want to do that for the puzzles. Because with the puzzles, we sort of rely on the door opening being sort of instantaneous, so that it's not really easy to kind of like cheese it, you know? I don't know, for example, try to take a cube that opened the door to the other side of the door using the fact that the door takes time to close, if that makes sense. So here's the current door. This is why we need a better type of door that closes instantaneously when it comes to the collider. But then the graphic itself has a little animation, but also relatively fast. So this is just for the sake of, you know, puzzles and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is what I want to get done today, and then we may take a crack at the save system later during the live stream. We'll see how it goes. Keep the doors just so the speedrunners have better tech. Speedrunners needs to come up with their own tech. That's not how speedrunning works. The game developer shouldn't develop the tech for speedrunning. Okay, let's take a look at the teleporter system. And maybe actually we can switch to a hot reload for that. Oh, also I split the crates. Finally, I managed to do that. There is no more common crate. The common crate is now called gameplay, and it only features all of the gameplay related elements. And then a lot of the things got extracted to the environment crate. So these are basically the things in the world that don't correspond to the player. So the dependency is that gameplay depends on the environment, but the environment doesn't depend on anything else, I think. It depends on shared. Okay, so let's make the render Noda library. Oh wait, never mind. Oh no, always mind. This is what I wanted to do. Okay. Let me open another terminal. And here we're gonna run hot systems. Hello, what's the plan for today? The plan for today are these two elements, and then maybe a save system. But that's gonna come later. Is it better to have many lib crates versus just folders modules? Dude, how would I know? I don't know. My understanding is that crates can be compiled separately and they don't need to be recompiled at all when something else changes. That's why I'm using crates. It is also ties to my hot reload solution because, I mean, not necessarily. It's just that the thing that I want to hot reload needs to be in a separate crate. That is a must. There's no other way around that. But when it comes to like the other, you know, environment and gameplay, these could be modules probably. I don't know how it would affect compilation times. I found that compilation times were usually better than just modules because parallelization is easier. This does make sense because I believe when you have modules, nothing stops them from referencing each other in like a cyclic reference. But with crates, you need to have clear dependency. Okay, why am I playing the game? Hold on, let me go somewhere. Actually, we can do this here. I need to get into the live streaming mood because it's been a while. I watched a little reset video. The graphics and gameplay is good. You built a little reset from custom engine. I don't understand the question, I'm sorry. A little reset is a video. What do you mean I built the video from custom engine? What do you mean by that? Okay, so this is the teleport thingy, and then we probably need the free run thingy because this is where we switch to teleportation, right? Yeah, right here. So we consume the teleport. If the teleport location is some, otherwise if we do this. So I guess we can make it so that we can teleport always, because it is a bit fun then. We can do some cool things with it. Hold on, let me show you. Just go somewhere where I can show you that. So if we can set up the teleporter and then immediately teleport back to it, we can do something like this to get a larger, jump distance than what we usually get. If you imagine that this anchor is not here, obviously, right? If this was out of the picture, we could, do a little jump. So this is cool, and then we can just restrict when we can place the teleport, so we cannot do, the flying thingy. Because that's a no-no. That's a bad exploit. You're using Blender for this game? Yes, I am. You said that you watched a little reset video in which I said I talked about this. Probably gonna need something like that. Can teleport to check if we can teleport. Also, you know what the problem is? What's the problem? I guess would be the way to say that. I don't think we can use that while we're using an anchor. Yeah, that's impossible. I wonder if we should be able to always do that and not just in the free run state. I see, I put the video on mute so that I can listen to you on stream. Or on mute and watch it. Okay, so I misunderstood. Because you said you watched, as in past tense. I guess for now we don't need that. We'll see how it goes. So you can just release the anchor and then set up the teleporter. Or maybe the anchor should not be a separate state. This could also be an interesting refactor, because right now anchor switches you to a different state, but it really feels like it shouldn't. Because other things don't do that. Things like if I can get here, hold on. Things like the extraction funnels. This is the same state, it's just that the gravity is modified. I feel like the anchor should work in the same way, and then everything would automatically work with the anchor. So I guess I'm gonna assume that this is gonna happen in the future. And for now we're gonna make the teleportation only work in the free run state. You also work on full-time job. No, my full-time job is being a YouTuber. Let's go to the player component. And implement the can jump or the can teleport. We actually do have a similar logic for launch pads, which we are not using, and I don't think we're ever gonna end up using it. And yeah, but let's do something similar. So let's reset teleport. Some mutable reference is on ground. And this is kind of like this ability, right? So from anywhere. Launch count. Yeah, I guess we need something for this as well. Teleportation count. Do we need that? No, probably. We can probably just use a Boolean value. Okay, so if we are on the ground, we want to reset this flag to allow for teleportation, and then can teleport is just gonna return that flag. If I can do that, can I have a function named the same as a property? I guess so. Since the property is not public, should be okay. Okay, so where is this being called? Who calls this? Oh, it's right here. Okay. Okay, hold on. Maybe this should be just one function. We wouldn't need to worry about that too much. Right, and this is gonna be update ground or whatever. Okay, but I do need to restart the game after that. As we change some type definitions. And there's also an issue with this. Okay. Can teleport method not found. How is that possible? Oh, because it's the wrong thing. Controller. Yeah, I don't think I'm thinking about the launch pads. I don't think we need them. I don't think we need this progression that I had in mind initially, with like making them usable from anywhere, because we do have jumping now, and jumping is most likely gonna stay. Okay, but now I should be able to do this. Okay, no, it doesn't. Oh, because it doesn't take away our ability. I shouldn't have closed that. The flag is not reset when we switch to teleportation, so... is jumping reset jump? Hold on, where's the launch pad? I want to see how the launch pad does this. Oh yeah, it does launch consume, that's the input, and then launchpad is some. Oh, I guess I removed all of this and simplified it. Okay, so I don't know how I don't know how it used to be done. Just add a function for that. Maybe let's call it do teleport. I'm just gonna call it in here. Restart the game. See if it works. Ooh, okay. Seems like it's no longer possible. Yeah, after teleportation I can no longer... Ooh, but what if I do this? So now I'm gonna teleport back onto the ground, which will reset the counter, right? So after that, after teleporting, I should be able to use teleportation immediately again. Yeah. Not sure if this should be allowed. Oh, there is a lot of other issues, I think. I feel like you could... Yeah, exactly. If you press the button at the right moment, you're gonna hit the ground, but not lose the velocity. And then you can teleport away. And then your teleportation ability resets. So I guess we should only reset the flag if there is no teleportation set. So if we are on the ground and teleport location is none, that's what we want. I don't know if it's gonna hot reload because it's a different file, but there is a possibility. Okay, yeah, it seems to be working. But let me reset this just to make sure. It probably looks like nothing because it's probably impossible to tell what's happening with the controls on the live stream, but it feels like it's working. Yeah, okay, so I can no longer reset it this way. What about this? Yeah, and it will also not work here. That's perfect. Okay, so since we're at it, let's get rid of the jumping ability because it's no longer necessary. We don't need this. So with launch pads, we don't even need this launch count thingy because we can just launch ourselves whenever we are next to a launch pad. Okay. Let me pause this for a second. See if Clippy is gonna tell me that there's something wrong with it. Or maybe, hold on, is there nothing wrong because I wasn't using any of the functions? It could be. There's a possibility that it's just gonna compile and work. No, yeah, I knew it. Oh, but it's a different function, a different file. Okay, makes sense. So we don't do launch at all. This is no longer necessary. And also this whole thing, the entity is no longer an option because we can only ever launch ourselves with a launchpad. It's much simpler now. Let's sum entity is equal to this. And then this is gonna be the entity in question. Okay. This is for exiting the state. Entity and then yeah, all of this is not necessary, because we can just use the entity directly in here, and this is gonna be okay. This is gonna be a problem if the entity is not there though. How do other states handle that? Oh yeah, they just switched to a different state. Should do the same thing here, probably. So let me paste this in here. Let's take this. So if, no, it's not even an if, it's gonna be an else in here. Okay, if there is no launchpad entity, we just switch back to free run and return. And this is no longer necessary, because it's always gonna be exactly the same. So control velocity, can just define it directly here. And the same goes for the target position. Current state just entered, this can happen here. Yeah, okay, looks good. It's definitely much simpler. Okay, this works. Let's go to the launchpads and see if yeah, seems good. Do we have any errors? No, it doesn't seem like it. Okay. So that's one done. Now for the door. So let's set up some testing elements in here. We can add a cube. In here. Oh, we need to get back there. It's another problem. For some reason in hot reload, when I restart the game, the camera stops following the player. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. Okay, so we have the cube. One thing I don't like about the cube is that the grab distance is exactly the same as the distance at which we hold it. So sometimes when we put it down, it's no longer in the range. So we should probably do something about that. Check availability. Yeah, it could probably be like 20. I think terminals are 20 right now, so that could be good to have. Okay, and then let's add a pressure plate in here. Okay, so another problem with the cube as well is that I'm not really certain about it levitating in front of the player at all times, because it does this weird thing when we're next to the pressure plate, when it tries to align itself with the slope angle, right, which is, you know, a slope. Ideally, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if the cube in this situation just sort of snapped horizontally right above the pressure plate. So like even if you like here, well, it's really difficult to do. Hold on, let me grab the gamepad maybe. If you're like here, the cube is gonna already snap into the center, and then you let go of it and it lands on the center nicely. Okay, but anyway, now that we have the pressure plate, we can add some door in here, which does not exist yet. We're gonna need to make it. What is this, 90 probably? Yeah, so we can use an arrow for that and then just scale it up to whatever we want the door to be. Then we can make it work from there. And then the direction is gonna be the rotation. That's my current idea. So let's call it a door. Save this. And let's try to make it work. Yeah, that's a great solution. Well, we'll see about that. But hopefully you're right. Public extract. What is it gonna be? Door plugin, presumably. Let's add this to the library. Let's start filling this this crate again now that I cleaned it up. Okay, do we want the door to have anything? I do not know. So we can add a parser bundle, I guess. For the door, and then we will also need a parser system because we do need access to the transform and stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna need some mutable transform and the entity with door, and then probably some commands like this. Okay, oh, this should be mutable. Okay, and we're gonna be inserting something in here. I just don't know what exactly. In fact, we're probably gonna need an additional entity parented to that one. We need a collider. Can we disable a collider? That's a question. That's a question for sure. Let's see. I don't think so. Is there really no way to disable it? I know that I can remove the component, but the component is gonna store some information that I don't want to lose each time I remove it. Ooh, we could we could have a collision group for that, right? We can make a collision group and assign it to the collider. I guess that would be one way to do that. Yeah, let's go with it. Hold on, I cannot type. Platform. What do we add here? Nothing. Okay, I guess it comes from the terrain. And the terrain has a custom collider generation. Okay, so we need to do it ourselves. Well, first of all, we cannot really spawn a collider. So for now, we can just add a system as per usual. Make it like an update system or something. And we're gonna spawn the door at runtime for now. That's not gonna be with, that's gonna be added. And you need a default. Okay, so let's see the terrain. The only thing that we need is, I think, a collider and then collision groups, right? For this to work. Let's import all of this. And then collider, cuboid, yeah. Half X, what would that be? What do we want it to be? Probably something like this. This is a good thickness. That's 20. and then the height that's gonna come from the scale. So scale y and then transform.scale. I'm gonna reset this to 0 to 1 so it doesn't mess up collision and whatnot. Okay, so this itself should generate a nice little collider, and then I'm thinking the mesh should be underneath it. As a child. But maybe let's see if it works by itself. And then I need to open Krita to draw some things. I still don't know what this would be in the final version of the game. It's probably gonna be a sprite, like a pixel art sprite that represents the door. Okay, do we have some doors? Maybe. So I really need a way to search for like a specific name in this hierarchy on the left. There is a door in here, but it has nothing. None of the things that we need. Namely, there is no door component, so that's kind of questionable. Oh wait, hold on. I need to rerun the import process. Yeah, now we're talking. Now we have the door. Okay, problem number 1. This thing doesn't have a center. As in, the center is always here, but we want it to be up here. So I guess the collider will need to be a separate child as well. Or I guess we could just change the position of it. Yeah, I think for now we can just do transform dot position, no, translation. It's gonna be transform that up. It's gonna be divided by 2, and then we're gonna multiply this by height divided by 2. Can I do that? It's a different type, isn't it? Let's make a separate offset, like so. Somehow magically we can, because multiplying float by direction gives us a vector. That's nice. Okay, so this is gonna position it in the center, just so that we don't need too many entities. Okay, and I guess was one division too many. That offset was good to begin with. Right, and we should be able to rotate it. That's why we're adding transform.app and not just app. Okay, here it is. Here's the door. Hold on. Okay, and let's see if we can put it like here. Yeah. Can we walk through it? We cannot. Okay. I just checked and it seems Rapier has a collider disabled component that can be added to explicitly disable them. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Collider disabled. Okay, that's nice. Trying to think what would be the easiest way of adding the mesh on top of it, because we don't really have any functionality for that right now. Bevy, I wouldn't be surprised if Bevy had like a mesh primitive for a quad. Yeah, and you can, yeah, and they have like a conversion for a mesh. Okay, we can work with that. Let's make it work first, and then we can simplify it. So I'm just gonna take meshes, I guess. This should be assets, I think. I don't remember. My memory is already failing me. So a handle to a mesh, it's gonna be constructed like this, yeah. Mesh from a quad. Okay, what is the problem? Use of deprecated struct. Please use the rectangle primitive. Okay, dude. Whatever. This is not a mutable resource. Okay, and then we can just put the handle in here. And all we need is a material, which we can already apply with my materials component, if I could find that. Oh, it may not be exposed by the crate. Hold on. Environment. Yeah, okay. So we can do materials, terrain, and that should automatically add the terrain material onto this thing. This may just about work. Okay, never mind then. Well, there is something, because there is an axis aligned bounding box. That's kind of like what we need. Oh, I know why, because that's a mesh and not a mesh 2D. I think. Let me check really quick. No, we are using a normal mesh for everything else. Oh no, wait, hold on. That's a wrapper around the handle. Okay. So there's the problem. Okay, it's being displayed, and now this should be twice as big, because it's not the extent, it's the entire height. Okay, we have the door. Would you look at that? Now we just need to make it open. So I'm gonna add a custom property for the trigger. And the trigger is gonna be our pressure plate. So this is obviously this is not gonna work yet. But just to make sure, where's the door? I hate how every time they are displayed in like a different order. I have no idea what is it based on. Now we have the trigger, right? Yeah, we have the trigger for the pressure plate. Now we just need to use it to activate the door when the pressure plate is enabled. Okay, that's awesome. But it's been an hour, so as is tradition, I'm gonna take a 6 minutes break, 6 minutes long break, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay. I've been looking at the trigger implementation. Trying to think of some other elements that already use it. This would be it, right? Update platform trigger. We take the triggers over the trigger component. Okay, I see. And then we get the trigger component. But what about triggers with multiple triggers? How does that work? I don't think we thought that one out. Oh no, here it is. Okay, this is update platform trigger and then update platform triggers. This is not generic. Okay, so it just assumes that it's for trigger status. Okay. I guess we can make it generic later. So let's create a new system for the door. That's gonna be update trigger. Trigger component. So now triggers, that's just gonna be, let me take a look. So actually, let's just steal all of this. Yeah, so here I'm setting the target. I feel like this should be generalized in some way. Because the only difference now is that we're gonna change something else. Instead of setting target 0 to like 1 or 0, we're gonna be disabling or enabling the collider. But this whole thing is the same. Let's leave it as a to-do for now. Let's make it work first. So we're gonna get the entity, and then we're gonna also get some commands in here. Not a huge fan of needing to like add and remove the components, but whatever. So yeah, if this is true, so it's open, we're gonna do commands entity remove what? removes a bundle of components. Yeah. Oh, actually, hold on. There's gonna be add, because this inverse. Because we are adding this component disables the collider. What's wrong with you? It's not satisfied. Oh, it's not add, it's insert. And then here we're gonna remove it like so. Let's put it here for now. And for now we can just use trigger status as the generic type. Because that's the only one that we're using. So that's gonna handle collision, but we also probably want to disable the rendering, at least for now. So we're gonna take the visibility component and set it as well. Here it's gonna be hidden, here it's gonna be inherited. And you are immutable. Okay, working first time, maybe. So I made myself a cup of tea, so let me just stir it a little bit. Okay. One thing that I would like to probably handle is a situation where we like squash ourselves under the door. Maybe not possible to do it in this setup. Yeah, like here. Though I'm not sure how to approach this. Probably somewhere in the physics. It would just need to make sure that the door pushes us out if we happen to be inside of it. But also it is a cuboid, so it may just naturally push us out because it's a convex shape. So it knows it knows what's inside and what isn't. Let's try putting this pressure plate closer. Let's see if we can make it happen. Okay, the door is way too far away. Okay. No, we sink through the floor. Oh, resetting the camera works. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, for now, you know, the solution is really simple. Just don't place the pressure plate so close to the door. But it would be fun to make it robust. Maybe stop the door from closing if there's an entity inside. I don't think it should work this way, to be honest. But it doesn't really matter because technically speaking, it's gonna require the same thing. Whether we want to stop the door or push out the player, we need to find out if the player is inside the door. That's gonna be the same for both solutions. Okay, but that's the door. A really simplistic version of the door, I guess, done. We can try to add some animation for it. Not only the player, you could stick a cube in there. Yeah, but that's assuming that you want to make a mechanic out of this, and I don't. Because it's the same thing as just having the pressure plate already. Like there is no difference between a situation where the player is required to stop the door with a cube versus having the door next to a pressure plate. Conceptually, it's the same problem. You need to get to the door with the cube. I mean, I guess it's not necessarily the same because you still need to... I guess it would be equivalent to having a pressure plate that holds the door open on the other side, right? So you still need to, 1, make the door open, 2, get to the door with a cube, and then 3, the door closes for some reason. That's also a problem because, like, what would cause this situation where the door is closing and you need the cube to stop the door? I guess if the door was like Indiana Jones kind of timed, and then you want to go both ways. I don't know. I don't think it's that useful for my purposes. The player would have to be bigger than the cube as well, or smaller than the cube. Player places cube 1 on plate, cube 2 under door, removes cube 1, cube 2 gets yeeted out of the map. No, but I already talked about this. Like, the solution is to make it so that if there's something inside of the door, we're gonna just push it out inside of the testing chamber that we're currently solving. Again, it's just like a different solution to the same problem. And I want the pushing solution because I don't see the reason for the stopping the door from closing one. I don't see how that's useful. It's just different. Can we decide the origin of the rectangle? Is that something that we can do? I don't think so. Fair enough, I'm just dummy. No, I don't think that's true. It's more of a problem with me being lazy than you being dummy. Because it is doable. I just feel like it would take much more effort than pushing the player out. Okay, I wonder if we can change the origin of the mesh so that it's here, and then we can just scale the mesh down and it would look like it's opening and closing. So we could get some cheap animation in. Can get an animation in, and we can also make it work if there is a space above the door, right? Because then if we were to just slide the door up, it would overlap the floor. Okay. Let's see. Who implemented the from for the rectangle? Oh, here it is. Okay. Rectangle.mesh. Okay. Question number 2. Can I like iterate over a mesh? Attributes mutable. Count vertices, get vertex buffer data. Oh, here it is, transform by, translated by, translate by. Yeah, that's perfect, I think. So we just need to do a little translated, if I could get completion for that. Is the return value something different than what I think it is? Yeah, translated by vector 3 y times height. And then we can do with children in here. And we're gonna spawn a spatial bundle. And this is gonna go here. Okay. We don't want to return this. And then the spatial bundle from transform from translation is gonna be this, maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing at this point. One of this is gonna have to be negative, right? Just a question of which one. Did I just guess it? Yeah, here it is, the door, and then the mesh inside. And then if we, let me show you that. If we scale the Y, here we go. We can close the door and then open the door. Okay. So I'm gonna add a little spring in here. So I don't think the spring logic should be in the UI crate, if I'm being honest. It's kind of out of nowhere. Should probably move it somewhere else. Probably to shared. Okay, so we're gonna add the spring and then update springs. It's gonna be chained. Okay, what do we need in here? Probably some mutable query. With the door. Okay, we don't need to set the visibility anymore because the visibility is gonna stay with us forever. And right now I'm gonna do a dirty trick and use has collider disabled here. I'm gonna fix it later. No, and then if we have this component, this means that the door is open, basically. Again, it's a really roundabout way, and it's gonna be one frame delayed, I think, unless Bevy is gonna insert flashing between the two, which it may, I don't know. So door dot spring set boolean open. I'm gonna tick it. I'm gonna need some time for this as well. And then we will need the child. So I guess just to make it easier, we can reference the entity directly in here. Oh, I don't know, it doesn't have a default. right? Because entity doesn't have a default value. I don't think so, at least. And we need a default for this parser bundle to work. I guess we can do something silly, as always. Just use the placeholder in here. Nobody needs to know. And we're gonna take the mutable door in here and assign this newly spawned entity in here as the mesh. Okay, and here we're gonna mutate the transform values of the mesh. So meshes, if let OK, mutable transform is equal to meshes.get door.mesh transform. If I could spell that, that would be awesome. Transform.scale.y, that's gonna be door.spring get x. And this is get mutable. Okay, so we set the target for the spring to whatever the state of the door is, and then we update the spring, and then we attach it to the, not attach it, and then we use this to set the scale of the mesh. This should work, maybe. There's a chance, there's a good chance. Or it's just gonna panic. That's also possible. Oh, but that's probably because of the old type definitions, right? In the parsed Blender files. So you can just remove them. Oh no. Wait, we can, but I think I removed the wrong one. I removed the second playtest. Okay, and now this crashes. No registration for spring. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I guess I never used it like that. Let's register it in here. Okay, almost. It's almost correct. Okay, but I don't like it because it starts open, which we very much don't want. So instead of doing this, let's do this. Logically the same thing, but since it starts at 0, it's gonna start with 1, so the door is visually closed immediately. Yeah, okay. I think we can commit this. Sage everything except for the playtest because I don't want to modify it like that with the buttons and everything. Oh, a commit message. Okay, so that's these two things. I would like to look into this though. That should be really easy. Let's add the spring, move it over to this crate. It would be nice to register this type as well somewhere in here. But we don't have like a dedicated plugin in this crate, so that's a bummer. Hero Dev, thank you for the raid. Welcome everybody. We're working on a 2D puzzle platformer right now called Astortion. And right now we're working on this door, which we can open and close with a pressure plate, as is tradition in puzzle platformers, I guess. Okay, so let's for now leave the registration in that one other plugin. Just fix all of these issues. The spring is no longer here. The ripple should use the new spring surface. And then the tab. Okay, that should be the last thing. Unless, what's the, oh, this one. Okay. And then finally the door can also use the new one. Okay, and this should compile. Or not. And what else is missing? I have some local springs in here. Should probably move them somewhere at some point. Okay, what else is missing? The spring. Was that the only thing? Oh, okay. Yeah, and it's working. It's a quick little refactor. Oh, and I guess we can also get rid of this. So before we move on to the triggers, I guess one more thing that I want to take care of is the weird positioning of the cube when we move it around. And maybe we can give the cube snapping a try as well. I thought about this. I was thinking about this during my break. We could make it based on like the cube itself, so that the player controller doesn't need to worry about that. So the cube could like detect the closest pressure plate and be like, okay, my desired position would be here. And then this would be saved in some component, some generic like desired position component. And the player would then use that when positioning the cube. So first of all, the cube would no longer be positioned in front of the player. Instead, it would sort of drag behind us as it does when we are in the air right now. So let me try to go here. Right, like when I'm not on the ground, it nicely follows us, but then on the ground it snaps to the front, which was a temporary solution for like being able to position it on top of the pressure plate. But now I don't think we need that. Okay, I guess I think I lost it. I don't think it's recoverable. It feels like it should be though. No, I don't think so. Okay, so let's try doing that. Man, I immediately start thinking about making it generic, which I don't think is a good idea. Although it is tempting, because then the pressure plate could just have another component that would be responsible for snapping the cube. Despite the fact that it's probably the only thing that will ever snap the cube to itself, like a pressure plate, I don't think there's gonna ever be any other element doing that. Okay, where's holdable? Holdable is here. Let's add another struct. Desired position. Maybe something like this. Probably the reference that, right? The reference, the ref mutable as well. And then let's make a holdable target, and that's just gonna be an empty struct doing absolutely nothing. Like this. So now pressure plate can have this holdable target. Yeah, and for now we're just gonna make it the same radius, because there is some type of a distance right away from the button that we wanted to take effect in. It's probably gonna be something like a box. Yeah, let's hard code this for now and see where it goes. So that's gonna have a holdable target, and then the cube is gonna have a desired position. What if there is no desired position though? I guess there should be an option. Oh, what's the problem? It's a component. Hold on. Okay, it's just that there's too many of them. So let's split them. Let's see, can we somehow separate them in a way that makes sense? I guess these are all related to physics, right? Collider, restitution, friction, velocity, gravity scale, custom gravity, rigid body. Yeah, that makes sense. And then this is just visuals and whatnot. Okay, let's make a system. For updating all of this. When should it run? It's fixed pre-update for now. Add systems, okay. So we're gonna query what? Holdable desired positions. Probably as mutable because we want to update that. And then our targets are gonna be a different query. Global transform and width. Holdable target, okay. So now this is probably gonna be the worst implementation ever. Because we're just gonna do some like AABB intersection and nothing else. I wonder if maybe using Rapier would be good for that. Okay, but then for each desired position, we want to iterate for every target and see what's closest. So let's transform. So that's mutable. Now how would we do that? Probably just want the local position, right? Global transform takes from the local space to the world space, so we need to get the matrix and inverse it, and then transform the other position. Oh, we need the position of this as well. It's gonna be target transform. And I guess this is gonna be desired position, just so that we don't get lost in all of these names. Transform dot translation. Can I make a new? Oh, from min max. Are there any other constructors for this? There's enclosing. Okay, so minimum is gonna be what? Let's say, for now at least, it's gonna be like -20. And then 0 and 0. And then this is gonna be 20. And then let's say 40 and 0. Probably make it once. Can we make it? Is it a const expression? Would be fun if it was. No, I don't think it is. Oh well, we can just make it here for now. Okay, is there like contains or something like that? I know there is, I just don't remember. Oh, a sphere has intersects OBB. Okay. Half space, frustum. Yeah, I guess we can make a sphere for the local position. Is this the correct sphere? I don't think so. There are multiple spheres. Yeah, this is gonna be the one. So the center is gonna be local, and then radius can be 0, I think. And now we can do sphere dot intersects AABB, AABB. Oh, this local to world. Hold on. What is it? What is it used for? So this is this is used to transform the AABB from local space to world space. Okay, so we're like working in the opposite direction, which I guess is okay. So then we would construct the sphere once, and the center is just gonna be transform.translation. And then local to world is gonna be target transform. What do you want exactly? What is affine 3A? Okay, and now we don't need this. Almost. A reference here and a reference there, and it should work. What is the difference between vector 3 and vector 3a? A three-dimensional vector, SIMD vector types are used for storage and supported platforms for better performance. Okay. Can I convert one into the other? Yeah, I can, okay. So now desired position, that's gonna be none. And then if we find it, we're gonna set it to yeah, what are we gonna set it to? I guess we can set it to the center of the AABB for now. Now there's gonna be some. Then we're gonna need to dereference this twice. Yeah, maybe not ideal. Okay, so I can see that I'm gonna be struggling with it probably a lot. So let's just, for now, move it over to the hot reload crate, so I don't have to restart the game every time. I can put it in here. Find desired positions. And we're gonna need the other sphere in here. Okay, let's see if it does anything, like at all. There is some issues. Oh, okay. Some missing imports here and there. And what's the problem with this? Is it because there are too many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I think it supports more than 8, right? Wait, it may just be an old error. Let's try to compile it and see. Oh yeah, okay. So that's weird. So we have the cube. It does have the holdable desired position, which is currently none, and it seems to be like set properly when we are over the pressure plate. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna take an option with desired position in here. See where this takes us. Desired position here, and then Here we probably don't need it. Can just ignore it. Okay, how does this work? Target position. Okay, so we calculate all of the offsets in here, I guess. So it should be as easy as doing desired position, map, truncate, unwrap, or else. So if there is something, oh, what's the problem? Oh, we have two maps now. Okay. So first we need to end then. And then the reference, the holdable, I guess. The reference it twice. Yeah, this should give us the target position or the desired position if set. Or it could panic our game. So that's fun. Unsafe preconditions violated. Okay, let me restart the game and see if this is just a problem with hot reload. Yeah, it may be. Okay, so it kind of works. The problem being that once it gets snapped into the position, it can no longer escape, no matter how far away we are. And it's probably because we should be checking against the position that we want it to have and not necessarily the cube itself. Yeah, we're gonna need to rework some of this. Shouldn't be too difficult though. We're just gonna need to move some of this logic in here instead, which is probably gonna be simpler than having like a separate system. Yeah, but that's gonna happen after the break. Gonna see you in 6 minutes. Okay. Let's see. I'm just gonna take this targets query, put it in this system. See, this is what I get for like trying to overcomplicate things. If I were to just add it immediately in here, would be no problem with that. It's actually simpler because we only need to check that for the thing that we are currently holding and for nothing else. Okay, so now, let's see, that's gonna be the target position. And the sphere is gonna use the target position as its center. Let's extend it with 0. Okay, and then we just need this. Where is it? Here. And we're just gonna make the target position mutable. And so if we find a match, we're gonna override it with this. Truncate, I suppose. And then we can actually break the for loop because we're only interested in the first match, at least for now. Maybe later we can do like the best, like the closest search. So that itself should already work just fine, I think. Yep. So it gets snapped to the pressure plate. And then it keeps following us. Okay, so now we can get rid of the grounded logic wherever it is. Yeah, here it is. If ground normal, we do this, otherwise we do this thing. So let's just return this here as well, just to see how it would look like. Okay, it's doing something. Hold on, because the door is a bit annoying. Let's maybe put the door in here, put the spawn point in here. So we can actually pick it up. Okay, so definitely don't like that it drags behind us like this. Oh, it makes sense because our collider is tiny. Yeah. It's attracted to the center of our collider, so it looks like this. Okay, can we make it so that the X is a bit different? We have the vector. Okay, hold on. Vector project onto normalized up dot perpendicular. This is gonna give us the X component. And then we're gonna clamp the length as 16. This could look nice. So it's gonna still levitate above the ground, but it's not gonna try to position itself in front of us. Yeah, now it follows us like this. Okay. Okay, and then it gets snapped, but only when it itself is positioned above the pressure plate. So maybe instead of using the target position, we can just use the transform dot translation. So the position of the player and not the cube. So the spring maybe is a bit too strong on this one. I haven't thought this one through. Oh, I guess I can just reset. Oh, and now the camera is broken. Yeah, that's a problem. Anyway, this definitely feels a bit better. And we can try to make the AABB a little bit bigger, I think. Yeah, because the max distance is like 96, so that's well within that radius. Okay, can we modify the spring a little bit? Let's make the spring stronger and then the damping also stronger. Okay, now it's a bit too slow. So I have no indication of the hot reload occurring because of the console being obscured by the window. Okay, let me restart this so that the camera is following the character. You know what we need in here? We probably need like a... No, wait, we already have it. Hold on. Where is the spring calculated? We're using the linear velocity of the box itself. Okay, what if we add the player's velocity in here, or subtract it? There's a way to do that, like mathematically speaking. But I don't remember how to do it. Okay, so now it stays with us. Maybe a bit too strong even. Let's go back to the previous settings, see how they're gonna look like now. This is kind of interesting because it's like it ends up positioning itself in front of us by itself. No, I ended up in here again. Yeah, I don't think there's getting away from that hole. Just gonna put the door in here and not worry about it. Okay, I do kind of like it, but I don't understand why it's so powerful. Maybe, what if we just like cut the velocity in half? Okay, so it is a bit slower. We should have the same effect as just decreasing the damping though. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm not right. This is too strong now. Okay, this is a bit better. Yeah, we can leave it like that for now. Drop it while it moves towards the point above the plate, wondering if it will be thrown. It won't. Because when we release the cube, we clamp the velocity to the player's velocity. So all of these little springs that are sort of visual, they cannot affect the cube's velocity. So you can throw it like this, right, when I'm jumping. But if I release it here, if I can do this, hold on. Hold on, has to be possible. Yeah, so now it's moving and now I'm gonna release it. Now it's difficult, it doesn't seem to be working. But yeah, I cannot do that. And the reason behind it is that the spring is so stiff that it would be launched like extremely far away. Oh, there it goes. It's nice having it. Cool, hopefully it won't make that people won't stack in levels because of that. Yeah. It's actually something we figured out really early on in one of the first live streams. Okay, I'm playing the game. I need to make the game, not play the game. Are there any warnings? A lot of them. So we no longer need this whole component. It can go away. Okay, all of this is not necessary. Again, a case of me trying to over-engineer everything. One thing that I want to try would be to offset the sampling position to the left of the player a little bit. So that if we face the pressure plate, we're gonna use it, but if we're not facing it, we're not gonna use it, if that makes sense. So the sampling point would be like somewhere in here. So that would be physics dot up perpendicular. Oh, we need the facing direction as well. Facing direction. Oh, as I have a function for that. Would you look at this? As float32. And then we also need to extend this. Okay, and then times 12. So half the height of the character. Yeah. So now the snapping AABB should be smaller, probably. Something like this, maybe. Okay. Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, so maybe let's put this AABB in here. Like this. It's AABB and then also target is vector2. And then we can implement this. And then dual left. Or maybe not even left, hold on. Let's think about this. For now it can just be width and then height. And then target. Okay, now how would we calculate that? From min-max? This would be -half width, and then this would be positive half width, and then the height, and then 0, 0. And then target is just the target. Okay, let's make those public. And now pressure plate is gonna use that. So what do we have here? The width is gonna be 20, the height is gonna be 40, and then the position is gonna be 0 and 20. Just so that we can customize it nicely later on. So now we can retrieve the AABB. How can we do that though? Oh, we need to update the query, right? Yeah. We want to reference both of them, the holdable target and the global position. Targets transform, and now we can do target.aabb, and then here is going to be target.target. I guess kind of a silly naming. Okay, should be logically the same. Is the pressure plate spawned? Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, it works. And now technically I can find this pressure plate. And here in the holdable target. Oh no, why is it not registered? That's a bummer. Minor inconvenience. Yeah, now we should be able to find this pressure plate. Yeah. Holdable target. Yeah, and we can set the target to something different. Awesome. Any warnings left? Okay. To do. Oh, it wasn't on the to do. Okay, do we have time for generalizing triggers? I think we do. So the idea would be that we can calculate the value of the trigger once in a one huge system, and then other systems can just use that value instead of manually calculating it. Since we already have a place for storing those, like here, we could store the next to the reference to the entities, we could store the currently calculated status. Or alternatively, we could add another trigger status component to whatever has triggers. I don't think it really matters that much. It would probably be more idiomatic to, you know, store it in separate components, but whatever. Maybe let's not call them references, let's call them sources or inputs. And then this could be output. It's going to be a Boolean value. And everybody's going to be happy. So that's triggers, and here's a trigger, yeah. Let's call it input, and then output. Also, this is going to be public, I suppose. Map entities, that's going to be inputs. Okay, and that's gonna be everything in here. And we can go to the platform, which platform is the only, I guess that's why it's so badly implemented, is because the platform is like the only thing using it right now. Okay, so this would be triggers dot inputs, if we could access them. I guess they are not public. Yeah, let's make them public for now. I'm surprised update trigger works. Oh, it's because we have custom methods for that. Okay. So now the idea is that we're gonna do it once, right here. Let's put it here, I guess. It's gonna be update trigger. And we're gonna take a mutable reference to it. we're gonna set the output. The if statement is not necessary. It's just gonna be this. And there is no platform target. It's completely unnecessary. Yeah, and so after that, other systems don't need all of this. They don't need that query. They can just do trigger that output, and that's it. And then let's do the same for the triggers. So that's update trigger and that's update triggers. Again, we don't need the platform target, just need the mutable triggers. Ooh, okay, but we need some other information, such as fraction. We can do like all, any, and then a fraction. So F32. And calculate all of this. Oh, and there is no output, I think. Yeah, it's all or any. Syntax error, where and why? Oh, here. Yeah, so we're gonna mutate the triggers. It's overall active. Any, hold on. Actually, I feel like we don't need the all and any because that information is already contained within the fraction, right? If fraction is 1, that means all of them are active. And if it's greater than 0, that means that at least one of them is active. So you can just make it into a function. Now, I don't know if floating point errors are gonna mess up with this. They can, they definitely can. Although we are adding, maybe we could make this into an integer. Just to make sure. No, I don't think we need to do that. If we're only operating on integers, even though this is a float value, it's still gonna be accurate, right? You know what? I don't know. I don't trust myself. Let's use integers here. Okay, so here we calculate this and then target dot, no, not target, triggers dot output, or dot fraction, excuse me. Yeah, so if overall is equal to 0, that's just 0. Otherwise, if, oh wait, we can, hold on. But if overall is 0, shouldn't that be 1? What was there before? Before was 0. I feel like it should be 1. So then we can just write this as overall is equal to active. That's gonna be 1. Otherwise, it's gonna be active divided by overall. Because in the case where overall is 0, active also needs to be 0. So that's gonna handle division by 0. Yeah, okay. Let's add these systems in here. What's the problem? Oh yeah, it needs to be typed. So let's go to the platform. Let's see. It only registers this one. Which is interesting because who's registering the other ones? I feel like there's something else that I'm missing. Like input hints, maybe? Update input hint visibility. Oh yeah, they also use triggers. Okay, so he probably wants to account for that. Maybe it should be a separate component now as I think of it, because then we're gonna end up needing to add generic functions for like everything that wants to use the output of a trigger. Yeah, let's go in that direction. So I'm gonna make a new component. It's gonna call it trigger output. And we're gonna implement these inside of it instead. Okay. So this can probably go back to the previous version. Okay, where's the trigger? Here. There is no more output, and we're gonna be querying the trigger output component as mutable. No, it needs to be a tuple. Okay, and now the if statement is back. That's gonna be 1. It's gonna be 0. Okay. Same thing here. Now take a reference to the triggers, and then the actual mutable reference is gonna be for the trigger output. Okay. So now we can copy those, put them in here. Not what I wanted to do. Okay, so this way we only need these generic systems in one place in here, and others shouldn't need it. So update platform triggers will only need a trigger output. We don't need any of that. We can just set this to output.fraction. And the same goes for this one. We can get rid of all of this and do our trigger output. and do the same thing here. So output dot fraction. We don't need this. Okay, so actually this is the same system. So we don't need this at all. That's nice, that's awesome. It's much simpler now. So now the terrain is gonna go through the exact same thing, right? Instead of taking triggers, we're gonna take trigger output. This is the output, and then enabled is output dot, we don't even need this, output dot all. Okay, and then input hint is also no longer generic. We don't need the triggers. We only need the trigger output. And this whole if statement can go away. Now this is output dot all. Okay, and then instead of removing the trigger, we can probably just remove the output, and this could work, maybe. It's gonna be a source of issues, I feel like, but we're gonna worry about it when the time comes. Okay, much nicer. There's probably some other things that use triggers. I'm gonna have to look for them in just a second. But this thing so far seems to compile. Okay, let's reload this. Let's see if this actually works. Let's put the door back in. Okay, so the door itself works. The input prompts do not. Because they're immediately enabled, which they should not be. Oh wait. the door is working because we did not update the door. Now as I think of it, yeah, has the update trigger in here for generic component, which again is no longer necessary. We're just gonna take the output. Output.all. And now the reason it's not working is because we're not spawning the output trigger anywhere. So let's add a system for that. Gonna make a little query. We want the entity. And then there's gonna be OR. Oh wait, that's a function argument. Yeah, that's gonna be OR added trigger. Oh, we need to list all of the triggers in here. Okay, for now let's just add trigger status. We're gonna think about simplifying it in just a second. And then added triggers, plural. Okay, some commands. Commands dot entity insert trigger output. The default. So this should work for the door and other trigger related things, but probably not for the input hints because they depend on something else. Yeah, okay, it works for the door. So we are already doing this in here, and I think we can make it a little bit better by providing a custom plugin for that. What would it be though? It's trigger status. What's the name for that? So there is it's trigger component, okay. Trigger component plugin. Okay, so it's gonna be generic. Like this. Do I need reflect or is it already? No, I don't think it is. Okay, so this should work, maybe, almost. Type path. Okay. So now the systems will be also added by this. I'm gonna make it generic in just a second. Just like that. So you don't need to manually list all of them every single time. Okay, this is gonna be C, trigger component. It's gonna be used in here instead. Let's call it spawn. Let's call it spawn trigger output. And get rid of this OR for now. We will eventually need to make the triggers component generic as well. But I don't want to do that just yet. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm adding way too many closing brackets or what's up with that. No, okay. Oh, actually, you know what? We could just do component here and just put it in here like that. So we can add this to whatever we want. Now we can just do triggers in here. So this is only related to the triggers. And then here we're gonna do trigger C. So this is gonna spawn the output for that type of trigger, and then it's gonna also add a system that updates that type of trigger. And then here we're just gonna add a plugin for the trigger status, so the default type of trigger. You probably need some default for that. So I've done all of this so that now I can go back to activity where we register different types of triggers. And now I'm just gonna use that instead. So instead of registering the types, I'm gonna add plugins. guess this can be one tuple. Like this. Does this make sense? Maybe. Okay. Now everything should work. Maybe. Okay, the door works. That's coming here. That's great. The input hand works as well. Don't mind the fact that it's E, because that's a work in progress. Let's go and see if masks work, because they are a bit different. So first of all, we cannot see that there is something behind this wall, so that's cool. And then as I go in here, the mask is still visible. Okay, so the mask is not working. That's a bummer. And why is that? So trigger output is not registered. That's a bummer. Can't really check anything without that. Mask is somewhere in the terrain, right? Oh, it should be any. Because we wanted to hide if any of the triggers is enabled. Quick question, how do you implement the components of your levels? Do you use some custom-made level editor? I'm using Blender. Here's the current level in Blender. With a custom asset processor that imports the level using GLTF. Oh, the mask is hidden. Okay, so that's interesting. Why didn't it work with all though? I don't like that. Hold on, let's do a little trick. Put the spawn point right here, so we don't need to go all the way. And let's set it to all again. See what's gonna happen. It should be any, and it seems to be working, but I am curious as to why it didn't work with multiple of them. Because now when I press E, both of them should be active. I am both in this area and the door is open. And the trigger output is 0.667. Area trigger, terminal, area trigger. Why are there two area triggers? What's up with that? Anchor mask trigger. What are you? Oh, that's a different. That's a different mask. There's a mask for this little secret in here. And this just uses the area trigger. Okay, so area trigger 001. So it just shouldn't be in here. And now if I, yeah, okay, now it works. Now if the terminal is enabled and I'm inside of the area, the mask disappears because it's probably now 1. Yeah, okay. Still should be any, but nice to know that it works. Okay, is the trigger used anywhere else? Tunnel. Oh yeah, tunnel is using triggers to be reversed. Material is using trigger for some reason. And then terminal itself. Okay, but that's okay. So we need to take care of the excursion funnel situation. Let's put the spawn point in here. We're gonna take a look at this, and that should be all. Yeah, so right now it works. We can reverse the direction. And hopefully it's gonna continue to work even after we get rid of this trigger output. I can just set this to any. So this dictates whether or not the tunnel is reversed. Okay. It works just the same. Guess we can mark this as completed. Okay, so that's pretty much all I had planned for today. We have a working door a better cube. Limited teleportation. I guess we should probably improve the visuals a little bit. One thing that I don't like is that we cannot reset the teleportation. Once it's set, there's no way for us to reset it back. So this shouldn't be a difficult thing to change. Controller can teleport. So that's going to be can teleport, or we already have a teleport. That's pretty much it, I think. So if there's already a teleport somewhere, and we're not trying to teleport to it, but rather set a new teleport when we can do it. Yeah, so now I can set a new location, but I cannot do it multiple times in a row without landing on the ground. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we can wrap this stream up. A bit of a shorter stream, but I'm also back from a break, so I need a while to get used to it. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck with whatever you're working on, and I'll see you hopefully on Sunday, if all goes according to plan. Yeah, so bye bye.